Hey, what's up, everybody? Today we're going to be doing mock draft 2.0 after the lottery, as we just saw the results. Kind of a crazy lottery changeup, as we saw some significant jumps in the top three, especially. So let's take a look at that real quick, where we saw Cooper Flagg. Now he's going to be projected to go to the Dallas Mavericks, which is definitely going to be the pick. And then we saw the Spurs jump up. We saw the 76ers jump up a little bit. We also see the Charlotte Hornets going number 4, the Jazz going 5, Wizards going 6, Pelicans going 7, Nets going 8, Raptors going 9, Rockets going 10, Trailblazers going 11, Bulls going 12, Hawks going 13, and Spurs going 14 via Atlanta. And then that Atlanta pick at 13 is also via Sacramento. So today I'm going to be giving my mock draft 2.0 based off of the lottery results. And this time I'm not going to do any trades. I'm going to be doing trades for my final mock draft, which will be the month of the NBA draft, which is next month in June. So we'll be doing that a little closer to the NBA draft. But right now I just wanted to give a little mock draft because a lot of things have changed. We saw the draft combine where a lot of players' stock might have gone up or down. And also just a lot of players might be changing up because certain teams may have different needs, which means some players might just fall in by default because they're just not needed on certain teams as far as position-wise. So let's get started in the draft. The number 1 pick, this is pretty obvious. The Dallas Mavericks are going to draft Cooper Flagg, a player that may not be like a generational talent, but he definitely is going to be a player that I believe will be an all-NBA talent. I did see actual comparisons that they might be comparing Cooper Flagg to Scottie Pippen, which, if you ask me, is a very good comparison. You do want to be compared to an NBA legend like Scottie Pippen. Cooper Flagg, great two-way player. I'm very excited to see him play. I'm not going to lie, this is kind of biased. I did not want to see Cooper Flagg go to the Jazz for this reason, because I get those games blacked out. I literally cannot watch Utah Jazz games. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to watch Cooper Flagg. So I was actually pretty hyped that anybody but Utah got this pick. I do think there's a little bit of sketchy stuff behind this pick and how the Mavericks somehow got this pick. But anyways, it's not worth getting all mad about because guess what? At the end of the day, it is what it is. But yeah, the Dallas Mavericks are going to draft Cooper Flagg. There were some talks early on where ESPN analysts were like, well, maybe they should trade it for Giannis. Yeah, why would you ever do that? That's just dumb. Those ESPN analysts, they need to go away. Like Jay Williams, I think. Bro, like, stop. You got to stop, bro. You got to draft Cooper Flagg. With the number 2 pick, the San Antonio Spurs, a team that a lot of people were considering them potentially moving on from this pick and trying to package in a deal for Giannis. Recent reports have been saying that the Spurs are actually trying to keep this pick, and they're very excited about a certain player, Dylan Harper. I think regardless of who got this number 2 pick, they would have drafted Dylan Harper, especially since Cooper Flagg would have been off the board. Dylan Harper is an excellent point guard. A lot of people are comparing him to like a left-handed Cade Cunningham, which, if you ask me, I wouldn't mind having a player like that. Dylan Harper has a great feel for the game. He's a great point guard, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in San Antonio. And I know like the Spurs have a lot of guards. You know, they have De'Aaron Fox, which they just traded for, and then they have Stephon Castle. But I do think Dylan Harper would fit in very well with this team. Stephon Castle is going to be a player that's going to be very interesting. Like, I'm curious what his role is going to be, especially if they added Dylan Harper. But I do think, like, adding Dylan Harper is, like, a no-brainer to me. I do think if they can get, like, a significant package like a Giannis in a deal, maybe you consider it. But honestly, like, I still really like Dylan Harper, and I think he's going to be a star in this league. And I don't know if you could pass up on him. Excuse me. Next up, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, who also had a very surprising jump in this draft. This is going to be an interesting pick because I think a lot of people would definitely say Ace Bailey would be the surefire pick. But honestly, maybe some could consider Edgecombe. Some could consider Trey Johnson. Even Malawach has been mocked there a couple of times. This 76ers team is interesting. I'm very curious to see what the 76ers are going to be doing with both Paul George and Joel Embiid. I think they should definitely be trying to trade Paul George for sure. which is going to be very difficult because of his contract. But I also think Joel Embiid should definitely be considered a trade candidate. I think they need to be at least fielding offers because I think this is no longer Joel Embiid's team. This is Tyrese Maxey's team. And this team definitely needs to move on from somebody. And I think Joel Embiid's going to be the most likely, or you're going to get the best package out of him, which will help you best in the future. So I think that would be best for them. And I was considering a couple of players. My mind is kind of on Trey Johnson or Ace Bailey. But honestly, I feel like the 76ers could use some more forward depth. I know they have a little bit, but it's like Paul George is, if you're going to trade him, why not try to draft Ace Bailey to replace him? Now, they might have to include this deal in a Paul George trade to sweeten the deal, but who knows? Like, I really like Ace Bailey, though. He did measure at like 6'7.5", so that was a lot shorter than what we were anticipating in this combine, but like, it is what it is. I think Ace Bailey still is a star in this league. Next up at pick number 4, we have the Charlotte Hornets, who were one of the teams that had the best odds to obtain the number 1 pick and ended up falling to number 4. I really like where the Hornets are at. I think they have a solid team. I think they need to stay healthy first off. Brandon Miller had that season-ending injury. LaMelo Ball also gets injured a lot. I do think they should explore some trades for him this offseason. And I do like Tijon Salon. I know he had a very disappointing season, but in my opinion, like, I think he's going to pick it up. The big question is are they going to keep Mark Williams after trading him in the trade deadline, but then actually the physical or whatever didn't go through, and Mark Williams ended up going back to Charlotte in a very awkward situation. I think this is a VJ Edgecombe pick. I do think these are the top 4 right now. I definitely think Trey Johnson could jump up, but I just feel like VJ Edgecombe would fit very well with the Hornets and what the Hornets are trying to do. I think he's just an excellent defender at best, also a very athletic player, and if he could develop a jump shot, which he does have a solid jump shot right now, but if he can continue to develop that and make it more polished, he's going to be a very solid player in this league and could be one of the better players in this draft. At pick number 5, we have the Utah Jazz, who had another unfortunate fall for them. And this is going to be a very interesting pick for them because they could go a bunch of different ways. I could see them going a Con Knipple. I don't see them drafting a Malawach, but I do feel like they're going to just have to draft best available, and that's Trey Johnson. I think Trey Johnson is just an unbelievable scorer who has had an unbelievable combine lately. He shot really well percentage-wise. He also showed some pretty good athleticism, and I'm really excited to see what Trey Johnson is going to be able to do in the NBA because I do think he's going to be a star in this league. Next up, we have pick number 6. Yes, with the Washington Wizards, who took another unfortunate dip in the draft combine or in the NBA draft lottery. And I'm very curious to see what they're going to be able to do here. A lot of people are saying Kaman Malawach would be a fun pickup for them. And I do agree with that because I do think him and Sarr would be fun. But I do think the Wizards need to try to get that, like, scorer. You know, I know they have Jordan Poole, but I really do think they should look to trade him. And I'm betting on them potentially trying to trade him. I don't see... So, like, I guess, like, if we're looking at a player then for who the Wizards are going to want, some people are saying Jockey Jonas. It doesn't make sense to me. I feel like this is either a Knipple or Jeremiah Fears pick. And in my opinion, if you want that scorer, you go Jeremiah Fears. But if you want that kind of like nice, like feel for the game kind of player that's going to be able to play well right away, I think Con Knipple's the better pick. And honestly, I'm going to take Con Knipple. I think Con Knipple is actually a decent pick. I know Jeremiah Fears. I think Jeremiah Fears is going to be a star in this league. But Con Knipple can seriously be just a great factor for that team. I think he could also be a great pick and roll kind of player with Alex Sarr, so that would be very exciting. So I really like this pick for the Wizards, drafting Con Knipple. At number 7, we have the New Orleans Pelicans, and this could go many different ways for the Pelicans. They could draft Malawach or Jeremiah Fears. I think those two players are probably the biggest names for them right now, especially since DeJounte Murray tore his Achilles. I think Jeremiah Fears would make a lot of sense. And I do like Yves Missi, who's going into his second year from Baylor. I really do like him as well. I think this team personally needs to draft a point guard. I think they're definitely struggling, and who knows what Zion's future looks like in New Orleans. CJ McCollum can run the one, but it's like not great. And who knows if DeJounte's even going to come back right away. So I do think this is a Jeremiah Fears pick, who, in my opinion, is going to be a star in this league. This kid is unbelievable, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to really showcase his abilities. And I think he's going to be that kind of it factor for the New Orleans Pelicans and could really help them compete. With the next pick, the number 8 pick, we have the Brooklyn Nets, who also took another fall. It's kind of a surprise. I thought the Nets at the beginning of the year were going to be probably the worst team in the league. They ended up being pretty solid, so I don't think this is a worst pick, especially with the players still on with certain players still on the board. I do like Kaman Malawach going there, and I feel like that makes the most sense. It looks like the Brooklyn Nets might be trying to move on from Nick Claxton, and if they do so, I do think Malawach would make the most sense, to where they're going to be able to get a big man who's going to be good on the pick and roll and who's just an unbelievable shot, like blocker or shot. Like, people drive to the basket, and he has that like Wemby effect where like they do not want to take floaters because Malawach is there and his length and his abilities to just shot block. That's going to be something that I think the Nets would be really good at. And with head coach Jordi Fernandez, I think he's going to be able to help develop Kaman Malawach, who's only played for like Kaman Malawach has only played basketball for like 4 years. So I think Jordi Fernandez is going to be able to work a lot with Kaman Malawach and be able to develop him. Then we have the 9th pick with the Toronto Raptors, where this could go a bunch of different ways. They could go Derek Queen to replace Jakob Poeltl. They also could go a Jockey Jonas to get a guard. This could go a bunch of different ways. Igor Demin could even be a player, or Yegor Demin. That's his name. I think that's how it's actually supposed to be said. But this is a very weird one. I think I'm going to go Derek Queen just because I think they need to find that replacement for Jakob Poeltl sooner than later. I guess the fit with him, with Derek Queen and Scotty Barnes could be an interesting fit. It might not work out very well, but in my opinion, I think I'm just going to have him go there right now. Derek Queen showed off some good skills in March, but in the combine, I believe he had some pretty bad testing when it comes to physical, like athletic abilities. So I'm very curious to see how Derek Queen's going to be. With the 10th pick, we have the Houston Rockets, which this pick is definitely, I think, going to be traded. But like I said, I'm not going to do any trades this mock draft. I'll do it next one. And I think if the Rockets do decide to keep this pick and they decide, hey, we're going to, try to, get a player that's going to be able to help us win. Jockey Jonas wouldn't be the worst. I think Fred VanVleet, it seems like they're going to decline the team option with him, save about $40 million or something, and then maybe try to re-sign him on a cheaper deal. If Fred VanVleet obviously agrees to that. I still wouldn't mind drafting a point guard here. I know Reed Shepherd's still on the team, but I feel like you probably have to move on from Reed Shepherd in a deal, especially if you're going to try to get Giannis. You could go Asa Newell here, and I actually like Asa Newell. Yeah, we're going to go Asa Newell. I'm going to go Asa Newell, a good power forward who shows off some decent posting up on the offensive end, and then defense, he also shows some good abilities. He's also pretty athletic forward, and I really like Asa Newell, and I think he would fit well with the Houston Rockets and what they're trying to do. Next up, we have the Portland Trailblazers at pick number 11, who also took a little bit of a drop, which actually ended up leading the Mavericks to going into the top 4. I'm very curious to see what the Portland Trailblazers are going to do here. They could use another guard. We are also seeing a lot of rumors to see Anthony Simons potentially being shipped out this year, which makes sense to a team like Orlando potentially. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do here. This could be a Jockey Jonas pick. This could be a Yegor Demin pick. I don't see any of these guys down here being a very interesting pick for them. Let me see here. I'm gonna get Yegor Demin. I think Yegor Demin showed off in this draft combine that the shooting abilities is there, and he's going to be a solid player. He also, I believe, was measured bigger than what we anticipated. He's 6'9". I believe, barefoot. No, not barefoot. He might be like 6'8", 6'7" barefoot, but still like 6'9" in shoes, whatever it is. That's still unbelievable. And I think Yegor Demon's going to be a really good player for the Portland Trailblazers, who's going to be able to help. And I know he's a little bit of a project player, but if he can pan out, he can be a star in this league. I'm serious. Next up, we have my Chicago Bulls picking at number 12. Definitely a weird situation for the Bulls. Definitely a time where I could see the Bulls looking to try to trade up in this draft. But knowing our GM, he probably will try to trade down and will probably end up getting worse from that, which is crazy to me. But there is Jockey Jonas on the board. The Bulls do have a lot of guards, so I'm not 100% sure about that. I really like Carter Bryant here. Yeah, we're going to draft Carter Bryant for the Bulls. I think Carter Bryant's a project player. I know he's only averaging 6.5 points per game, but he definitely showed off a ton of abilities in the combine. He's able to shoot well. He's going to be like a stretch like forward that the Bulls could really use, kind of a 3-and-D kind of player who's very athletic, and he's going to be able to show off a lot of abilities. He's going to be able to hopefully replace Patrick Williams if they do decide to move on from him, which I hope they do. But I really like Carter Bryant going here. He's grown on me a lot these past couple of weeks, so I really like Carter Bryant, and I think he'd be a good fit on the Chicago Bulls. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks, and I don't think Jockey Jonas is going to get drafted here either. Call me crazy, but and it's crazy to me that Jockey Jonas has dropped this far, but I don't think the Hawks, it just doesn't make sense for the Hawks to draft him. I think this is a Thomas Sorber pick, the big man out of Georgetown. I believe he got measured at a 7'6" wingspan. So this man is huge. He's athletic. He's going to be that like lob threat for Trae Young. And he's going to be able to be that guy that can replace Clint Capella going into the future, since I believe Clint Capella is going to be an unrestricted free agent this year. And we still don't know what's going on with Okongwu. He had a solid season, but do they really want to bet on that? I don't know. Even if they still want to keep Okongwu, Thomas Sorber can be a very solid backup big man for the Atlanta Hawks. And then with the final pick of the draft lottery, with the 14th pick, the San Antonio Spurs. This is an interesting pick as well. There is Colin Murray-Boyles, a very good defender who just really can't shoot the ball at all. They've had comparisons of him with Draymond Green. I'm very curious to see how Colin Murray-Boyles is going to fall in this draft, because he did not have great measurements and everything for in the draft combine. I also like Rasheer Fleming going here. He's a little bit older, but he's a player that really could be a solid 3-and-D player as well. So I guess it's kind of the big question is, do you want that really good defender in Colin Murray-Boyles, or do you want that more of that offensive upside in Rasheer Fleming? And in my opinion, I think the Spurs will probably draft Colin Murray-Boyles. I feel like he's not going to drop much further than that. But anyways, that's going to be the end of my mock draft 2.0. I have Cooper Flagg going 1, Dylan Harper going 2, Ace Bailey going 3, VJ going 4, Trae going 5, Khan going 6, Jeremiah Fears going 7, Malawach going 8, Queen going 9, Newell going 10, Demon going 11, Bryant going 12, Sorber going 13, and Murray-Boyles going 14. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. This was podcast, I believe, 55, so we're getting up there in the numbers. But thank you all so much for tuning in. If you want to check out me on social media or any of those platforms, you can check it down below in the description below. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.